And see, our habits can be very defining. So change your habits and you change your life. That's what it comes down to. You change your habits, you change your life, right? Most of the time, people approach changing their habits in the wrong way. It's how we're conditioned, right? You might think that if you have enough willpower, if you have enough courage or bravery, if you work harder or longer on developing the desire and the strength to overcome a bad habit, that's going to solve it, right? We have this belief that if we can do those things, if we have enough will to do that, right, enough mental strength and enough physical and emotional strength, that will create the transformation to experience the lasting change you want. But unfortunately, you can't start with the habit themselves. Think about it like that. So it's actually a reverse way of thinking. We can't hit the habit, we can't think of it as the habit itself because it doesn't change when we think of it that way. You have to dive deeper below that habit and change something far more intimate than that. You must change your identity. That's right. You say, okay, what's that? What's that, right? Well, let me just speak about it a bit more. Once you change your identity with the habit, your identity to who you are, your identity to how you show up, right? Then the desired habit naturally follows. So I'll give you some examples, okay? For example, the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about a friend who lost 100 pounds just by asking a simple question that got to the core of the issue. It wasn't the diet. It wasn't the center they went to. It wasn't the program they signed up for. It was the question they asked themselves. If you've been with me very long, you know that I am a firm believer in what is the question we ask ourselves. Well, it's very applicable here. The question that this woman asked herself every day, all the time, was, what would a healthy person do? This person asked herself this question in each situation she was in. Take a taxi or walk? Order a burrito or a salad? She wanted to be a healthy person. She wanted her identity to be that of a healthy person. So she did what a healthy person would do with every decision that she made all day long, not just around her food, around every decision she made. And it worked because she changed her identity with her health. Instead of accepting herself as being unhealthy, overweight person, instead of accepting herself that life would not change, instead of accepting herself as a failure for not eradicating this, right? Or accepting a false belief it had to be in a certain time period. Nope. She adopted and integrated the identity of a healthy person. But do you think that she didn't make a mistake along the way? It's a fair question. Because how many of us get down on ourselves when we set the intention that we're going to do something and then we don't do it? If we maybe actually do it for 30 days, change a habit, right? Okay. No, we all have our ups and our downs on our journey to becoming who we want to become, what identity we really want to embrace. The trick is to tackle the identity change little by little. It's simple, right? It's so simple, it's like, how can that work? But isn't that the way of all truth? It's simple. It's not complicated. So if you are relating with this, let me know, okay? Another example, okay, while I'm in this, is James Clear. He uses it in the book, again, Automatic Habits. And in this time, though, he is sharing a story about the British cycling team. They were literally the laughing stock of the cycling world for many, many years. They had only one Olympic gold medal to their name, and they had not won the Tour de France for 10 years. 110 years. What am I talking about? Like, this was many years. This wasn't like a few years. It's a long freaking time. 110 years since any British person won the Tour de France. That's embarrassing for a cycling team. That's humiliating for a cycling team. That was until they acquired and met their new performance director, Dave Brailsford. When he showed up, things began to change because he did something that would change the trajectory of their performance and reputation forever. He implemented the 1% rule, also known as the aggregation of marginal gains. The aggregation of marginal gains. It's the 1% rule. That's easier to remember, okay? He broke down, okay, all the different aspects of riding a bike and improved each of the rider by 1%. He didn't ask them to win, did he? He didn't ask one rider to solve the problem. He didn't put the pressure and tell them they were doing it all wrong. He found 1% in which they could ride better. The 1% is the marginal gain significance in this situation. So, under his direction, that's what the British cyclists did. And it changed literally everything. To quote James Clear from his book, he said, just 5 years after Brailsford took over the British cycling team, after they had dominated the road, after they took over the cycling team, he dominated the road and the track cycling events at the 2008 Olympic Games. They were held in Beijing, where they won the astounding 60% of the gold medals available. 4 years later, when the Olympic Games came to London, the Brits raised the bar as they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. That same year, Bradley Wiggins of the team became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. The next year, his teammate Chris Froome won the race. And he then went on to win again in 2015, 2016, and 2017, giving the Brits team 5 Tour de France victories in 6 years. During the 10-year span from 2007 to 2017, British cyclists won 178 world championships and 66 Olympic or Paralympic gold medals and captured 5 Tour de France victories in what is known widely as and regarded as the most successful run in cycling history. Why? Because they all got better by 1%. Where in your life can you get better by 1%? Now you notice, it did not happen overnight. It took them time. No habit is changed overnight. None of our identities get changed overnight. It is a consistent 1% in our life. What's the lesson here, right? Small changes lead to big results. Okay? Small changes lead to big results. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be headed in the right direction, looking at your life about what you want to be. Who do you want to be? What do you want your identity to be? And then be willing to do it by 1%. So let me ask you, what habit, you can list multiple for me if you want, but let's focus on one habit you want to have, or one habit you don't want to have anymore. Everybody knows one thing they would either like to have or one thing they would like to let go of. Let me know. Yeah, because I want to help you create a new identity around it. Yes, there can be an inherited pattern to a habit. We can have the inherited habit of smoking, the inherited habit of medicating because we don't want to feel, like through alcohol, drugs, weed, right? Okay, we can have the inherited, right, inherited, which gets like habit, which then gets complicated by a learned behavior based on what our parents' habits were. That's a double whammy. Okay, so there's a lot of things going into it. Yes, you can learn to release those frequencies. You can hire somebody to release those frequencies, right? And no matter what, you have to change the identity around who you are. Okay, you can put it in the chat, okay? Put it in the chat below because I want to know. All right. In fact, I'll just come back to the chat and we can talk about it for a minute, okay? I have to put my glasses on. Okay. Your time is so appreciated. Thank you, Stephanie. You're always so gracious to me, by the way. Thank you. Hello, Dina. I love you, love you. Hello, Jean Wood. Okay, so what's a habit, guys, that you want to implement into your life? Something positive or something you want to get rid of? What's a habit you want to integrate into your life? What's the identity you want to be? What identity do you want to have? You want to be a great boss at work? What does a great collaborative boss do? What is a boss that has a team of employees that are successful and feel good in their job? What do they do? Because that's what you're going to do, right? What does a healthy person, what choice would they make? That's great, right? What's something else? Okay. Okay. Totally agree. Smoking. Yeah. Jean, do you smoke? Trust me, if you know me very well, if you had just getting to know me, I don't have any judgment. Okay. That's what by the way, I don't think you can be a good healer if you're a judgmental person. Okay. Because your opinion and judgment will then be influencing the situation. And there's no room for that. So I don't have any judgment on people that smoke, people that drink too much, people that have addiction. All I care about is helping. Okay. Yeah. I want to be able to help in the group and offer ways, and I'm always here to talk to privately. But Jean, so you smoke, okay. Is it a learned behavior? Elaborate on it a little bit with me in the chat, okay? Is it a learned behavior, meaning did your parents smoke? Are you aware of the inherited pattern of, I can tell you because I can already see it. There are people that smoked in your bloodline, but I want to know, are you aware of it? And the reason I'm asking is because those types of things, unless that's been known to us or we became aware of it because we were around when our grandparents were alive, it lies within our subconscious memory and it lies within our cellular memory. So we can have something that's inherited and not be consciously aware of it. That's why I'm asking. Okay. Yeah. And the habit of smoking is a bit complicated, Jean. Okay. It does not mean that you cannot create the identity of a non-smoker. What would a non-smoker do? I love the question for you. What would a healthy person do? What would a healthy non-smoker do? Okay. Also with smoking. Okay. Everybody has a different opinion about it, by the way. The gurus have a different opinion. You stop cold turkey. You wear a patch. You break it down a little bit at a time, right? What resonates with you? What have you had success with? What works for you? Does cutting back work for you? Would a healthy person cut back? Would a healthy person then go to vaping? Because what comes in with smoking is also the hand-to-mouth addiction. The hand-to-mouth addiction shows up for other reasons, many reasons. It can be to smoke, it can be to eat, and something that people are not aware of is the hand-to-mouth addiction is a permission to pause and take a break. Okay? Many creative writers have a hand-to-mouth addiction because they write in that space, okay? I mean, they think in that space and they let things percolate. So you see, we can't have judgment on this, especially when it's so complicated, right? But I want to know, like, how do you operate, Jean, right? Is smoking a form of procrastination? Is it a way to reward yourself? Does it get you out of a situation at work so that you can have relaxation? Right? How does smoking benefit you? Which is what we need to know to release it, right? So that's just some things to think about, okay? Never vape, so that's not an option. Yes to sit 14 on a patch. So do you wear a patch and smoke? Because you said yes to smoking. So do you smoke and wear a patch? Or yes, that a patch would work for you to eliminate the smoking, the hand to mouth. Like type away, give me a paragraph. Okay, that's cool. Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing. Right, Dina? Right? Like we all have habits. We all want to create an identity. But we think oftentimes, instead of thinking of what would this positive situation do, right? How do I act like they would? We go into this, I'm not wired that way. They do it the way I don't do it. I can't measure up. I'm not enough. By the way, we use the term I'm not enough, but I promise you, we don't walk around in our mind going, I'm feeling like I'm not enough. It shows up in a different way, right? We can feel jealous, we can compare, yeah? So by thinking about what would this person do, what habit would they do, what decision would they make, it flips it so that we can say, okay, I can adopt this behavior, I can learn this, okay? Like it's just one choice at a time, right? Okay, so the patch is working, you want to quit. How about, Jean, you give yourself some grace on this patch right now, okay? Give yourself some grace on the patch. It's okay to wear the patch, all right? A healthy person would start with a patch. That's just fine, okay? A healthy person, I'm going to recommend some things that I think work, okay? Hypnotherapy can work, not all hypnotherapy. You need to go to a hypnotherapist that specializes in smoking, that has success with smoking, that confirms they've had success, that you can talk to people that have had success, so to speak. They're willing to share the success, not somebody who got certified in hypnosis and says that it helps with, it takes some homework, okay? The hypnotherapy can. energy healing can work. It does work. I know that. It works. Okay. I know hypnotherapy can work. Okay. I know the patch will help you eliminate, okay, the old identity to it. So let me tell you something very interesting about smoking. Okay. That if you've been trying to smoke if you've been smoking since you were 14, okay, you've tried things. Okay. Willpower, you need some help, but you need some help over like bravery and courage. Okay. Go back for a moment, Jean, to age 14. The first time you smoked and then those times after. First time you smoked doesn't feel good, okay, as a whole. But I'll tell you what it did do. It brought you into a group. You now had a tribe of people. You all related and accepted one another as a whole. You had a place to go outside of off the high school grounds. You had somebody to sneak off with. Smoking brought friendship in some way. Okay, so there's a fear on a subconscious level probably at this point. If you work full time, you're not stepping out with your buddy. You're not going to the smoking lounge together. You're not going to a smoking bar. So the dynamics of your friendships change. Okay. The way you identify with fun, right? It changes. That doesn't mean it's negative. But you started for a good reason, is what I want you to know. It brings about things that you weren't needed in your life on that level. Okay. So just think about things like that. Okay. So what would a person who has friends do? Right? Maybe they would join a meetup group. Maybe you get online at perfect time. Type in local meetup groups for walking, local meetup groups for blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be to quit smoking. It could be if you wanted, right? But it's a way for you to think about it, okay? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, your friend. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to go out on a limb and talk with me about a habit that they want to incorporate in their life? An identity you want to have? I'll tell you an identity I wanted to embrace that I've been embracing for a few years. Okay. I'm really good at a lot of things in the world that, in the world, I'm a great teacher. I love teaching. I love teaching my method. Okay. I loved it so much that I got courageous enough and trademarked it. That was really brave for me to do that. But I have not thought of myself as a businesswoman. So I have been asking myself, what does a businesswoman do that isn't good in something else? Because I also know we don't have to be good at everything. But I can learn to make decisions that do empower me in other areas and give me those skills. Those skills I've been developing, right? What would a healthy person do if they want more exercise, or they want more movement? Well, what actions would they take? Those are the type of questions you ask yourself. Okay, let me finish up this, okay? And I'm always here, Jean, if you want to talk. I can always give you my calendar link and give you some ideas. So you thought you'll think of the habit, you'll create the habit, right? In order to create the habit, you have to think about the identity you want that's opposite of that habit you have. Then you will start to see those habits naturally become a part of your life. So, for example, a businesswoman can't be afraid to be on camera in the 20th century. I'm on camera every week with you, right? I talk on now on people's podcasts and summits. I get hired to talk on stage. But if I hadn't decided to do what a businesswoman does, or what I envisioned that they would do, I wouldn't have you in my life, would I? No, I wouldn't. So it's food for thought. It's things for you to think about. Let them percolate in your mind. And what action would you take now that a healthy person would do? What action would you take, right, in order to be that identity that you want to be? I want to know because I want to help you. I'll help you formulate a question that you ask yourself. I just need you to be transparent with me and a little vulnerable so that I can help you identify this. Okay? I can help you formulate the question that you say to yourself. I can help you formulate the identity you want. All right? Sending you lots of love. All right? And I'll see you again next week.